What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And this is another installment in my Loose Thoughts series where I pick a more free-form topic of discussion. And I was inspired to make this video by a recent comment on a recent video of mine that just made me so nostalgic for the old days of YouTube. This video that I made was a video just discussing the PlayStation 3 and how I've been mostly playing PS3 and PS1 games over the last month or so. And this comment came from user G's21212. And G said, I almost never comment on videos, but just got to say that I got this recommended to me and it reminds me so much of the way gaming content used to be on YouTube. Thanks for bringing me back to a simpler time. And I'm so thankful that he commented that. And honestly, I think I needed to hear that from someone because when I think about what the goal of this channel is, what my mission is with this channel, that's exactly the vibe that I'm going for. You know, so much of old school YouTube was about connecting with people. It was about sharing ideas and sharing experiences. And this was especially true in the YouTube gaming space. You know, this platform was just full of creators that were sharing gameplay and just talking about life and talking about the latest games. You would have a lot of creators who would just upload gameplay footage and put their favorite songs in the background. People don't do that anymore because you can't monetize it because it gets copyrighted, right? So there's so much about the monetization and the business of YouTube that has just really gutted a lot of what used to come naturally to creators on the platform. Naturally, as gamers who do this as a hobby, it was just natural to share what your experiences are with the world, to put up a camera next to your TV and just talk about video games. And so much of early YouTube gaming content was that just people who were excited about video games, who were excited about what they were playing and wanted to share it with people, or had ideas or criticisms of video games and just wanted to share that in the most simple and efficient way possible. And, you know, somewhere we got away from that. Somewhere we got to this current state of gaming YouTube that's so much about hyper editing, over engineering videos in order to please the algorithm, hooking viewers for retention, trying to, you know, make these really hyperbolic claims about new tech and new games. You know, so many videos I see about the Steam Deck changed my life, or, you know, something changed my life. And it's just like, we never used to see that on this platform. We used to see people genuinely excited about something, putting out genuine content that wasn't built in this YouTube overhype blender. You know, I was recently also really inspired. I was listening to a podcast called the Dualcom Podcast. It's hosted by BBK Dragoon and Lost Saves. And they're two gaming YouTubers who are also kind of in this space of trying to bring back that old school YouTube of just sharing your experiences and sharing things about gaming and life over gameplay. And they do this podcast together. And in one of their recent episodes, they talked a bit about this nostalgia for classic YouTube. And they talked a lot about a YouTuber named TotalBiscuit, which if you weren't around when TotalBiscuit was making videos, he was just a crown jewel of this space. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2017, 2018 of colon cancer. But he was an OG in this space. And his whole modus operandi was just so simple. He would just pick a topic and he would go. You know, he would just pick any gaming topic and just talk. And it was so simple, it was so efficient, and it was just so inspiring, honestly. He would just talk for 30, 40 minutes. And that's what he would make the title of his videos. There was no hyperbole. He would just say, I will now talk about the games media for 40 minutes. That was, you can go back to his page right now. Those videos are still up. Just, I will talk about this game for 35 minutes. And there was no hyper editing of his videos. In a lot of his videos, he was actually actively playing the game he was talking about and just chatting with the viewers. You know, it felt very pre-Twitch, you know, YouTube live type of content, you know, that was somewhere between a commentary and a let's play. And it was just really, really good content to watch. But, you know, even though TotalBiscuit was one of the best at that, there were so many people who were putting out videos like that back in the day. And now that content is just so much less algorithm friendly. It's so much less, profitable for people. And so people don't create it. And they instead go for the over-engineered, hyper-edited content that they know will get views, that they know will hook viewers. And I'm so glad that that comment from that user came on that video, because I actually struggled with that video in particular. I just started this Loose Thoughts series, and I'm doing these videos without a script. I'm just talking to people about my experience, and that's what Loose Thoughts is meant to be. And with this PS3 video idea, I almost didn't make it a Loose Thoughts video. I started to write scripts for it. I started to think about B-roll. I started to think about how I'm going to edit it, a litany of different games that I wanted to include in it. And, because I'm thinking this is a good idea and I should, really put some editing chops and stuff behind this video. But as I was making the script, it just felt so inauthentic. I was thinking about, what am I going to title this video? Thinking about stuff like why you need a PS3 in 2026, or it's 2026 and the PS3 is still awesome. All these hyperbolic titles that, to be honest, maybe it would have done better. That video right now is doing fine with me just having a more calm title and being in a more unstructured, unfiltered way. Is doing fine now, but maybe that video would have done better if I did more editing and had a more hyperbolic title. But the more that I start to think about this, the less I care about those types of things. I want to really put out content that's almost anti-algorithm. That's just, me talking, connecting with people, putting in that real work to connect with folks over my ideas, and not necessarily just hyper slick editing. I'm still going to work on some video projects. I'm still going to put together some scripts and edit videos. But my goal is to make this a channel where most of the content is just me talking and me coming across as genuine from my experience as I possibly can. And I feel like YouTube needs more of that. But at least for this channel, this is going to be all about connecting with people, sharing ideas, and sharing the experiences that I have while playing the games I love. That's what this hobby is all about. And that's definitely what this channel is going to be all about. Well, if you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.